Okay. 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 Yes. That sweet chin music. I love the sound of that. That gives me a cue. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your participation. We got people coming in. But hey, welcome to the second, yes, that's right, the second episode of Exclusive Talk Show, your dose of fresh talks. I'm super, super excited, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here. You all made it. I'm super excited. Thank you so much for your encouragement. I know later on we got a few more people who are going to join in. But hey, enough of me. Okay, I haven't even started. My name is Coach Atul Abraham Matthew. And today we are going to talk about voice behind the success. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are truly, I'm truly blessed to have a speaker who I've been following for a couple of months now. He has inspired me over his voice. And you know how fascinated I am with voices. And he is so amazing that he can even sound like Batman. If you know what I mean. So, ladies and gentlemen, imagine the power of your voice that not only captivates but resonates with authenticity and depth, leaving an everlasting impression. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest, please join me in welcoming our guest, Mr. Paran Thakur, who's going to show us the way and he's going to talk a bit about him and how his journey started. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Paran Thakur.
Yay.
Welcome,
Thank you. Thank you. Let the drum roll begin. And let's cue the music. Thank you. Thank
sir.
you. Thank you, Atul. It's fantastic to be here. And I really, like the way that you approached me and the entire communication that's been going on back and forth. For people who are watching, I don't know if they know Atul, but he's very precise with his communication, his follow-up, and it's absolutely fantastic to interact
Thank you,
with him.
sir.
So far it's been absolutely wonderful. It was more happening on phone calls and WhatsApp, and now we are on the show. So I'm really, really looking forward to the next, hour or so that we're
Collaboration.
going to spend together.
Yes, yes, the next hour. Awesome. So now let's go on to the first question. So I would like to ask you, and that question is, what actually inspired you to shift from being a popular RJ and dedicating yourself entirely to voiceover?
So do you want the politically correct answer, or do you want the truthful answer?
I want what really captivates you and what answer you're going to give, going to encourage and inspire somebody today, sir. So
So I
whatever you
was,
feel.
Atul, I was very passionate about radio growing up. It happened very early in my life. It's a case of being at the right place at the right time. So it so happened that whilst I was in college, there was a radio station in Toronto. Okay, it was an AM station. It was, I still remember because it was my first job that used to give me 800 rupees a month. It was called 610 CKTB Radio India.
Wow, wow. Okay,
I wasn't
that's
an
amazing.
on-air personality on it. I actually was somebody who used to be a news writer for that channel. So what they would want is that in the evening, this is pre-internet days, right? So I
Yes.
would need to go to the PTI ticker. I don't know how many of you will understand what that is, but that's like a fax roll kind of thing that keeps churning out the news and breaking news and this, that, or the other. So I would sit with the PTI ticker for about half an hour and write down whatever was the main news that was coming out of India.
Oh,
At
that's interesting.
precisely 11 o'clock at night, they would call me and they would say, and the guy who used to do the job before me, his name was Bob.
Bob, okay.
Okay. Now they had no idea that Bob had gone and Bob had been replaced and I was there. So the so
Wow.
the gentleman at the other end of the phone would say, "Hey Bob, do you want me to give you the fax tone?" So I never felt like correcting him in that 1 year that I worked for them. I said, "Yes, I'm ready." So when he gave me the fax tone, I would insert that sheet of paper, which was about 150 words of the news. They, in turn, would read that out as their morning news in Toronto coming out of India.
Whoa, wow, that's interesting.
So that was my first job vis a vis radio. Okay. And then I remember that during the time that I was working for them, there was the unfortunate incident of a big earthquake that happened in Latour. And They asked me to that, that they wanted some coverage of it. And I was like, I'm not going there to the earthquake area. They said, no, that's the power of radio. You don't need to be there, but you can say that you are there and report like you're there. I said, okay. So then they put me, that was my first moment of being live on the air, where I said that, it's devastating and there's a lot of problems that have happened here. There's, it's a disaster and blah, 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 blah. And that's how my little sort of stint on radio, my first on air appearance happened. During this time, while I was in college, I also was very inclined towards theater. So I was
Oh,
part of a theater group run by the late Padma Shri Amir Raza Hussain Saab. So he used to run a he used to run a theater uh, company called Stage Door. And at Stage Door, I met somebody who became my first mentor when it came to radio, a gentleman by the name of Roshan Abbas.
right.
Right. So Roshan had just started doing FM radio with what used to be Times FM back then, which in its later avatar became Radio Mirchi.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Roshan and I were talking one day. He said, look, you're doing this radio gig with this Canadian company, Canadian Indian company. I also am looking for somebody who can be an assistant to me, and they pay you 800, I'll pay you 1,000.
Wow.
For a third year college guy, making
Wow.
1,800 rupees was like a big deal. I said, okay, what's my job? He said, I'm starting a request show, which is going to be absolutely live on All India Radio FM on Sunday nights called Live Wire.
Wow.
Okay. He said, your job is to basically go to All India Radio FM. Right opposite that is the post office.
Okay.
Back then, again, I'm talking pre-mobile phone, pre-pager days, pre-email days. People would
Wow.
write snail mail to request for a song on the radio.
Wow. Wow. This is interesting. Wow.
So my job was to go pick up all the letters that were addressed to Roshan Abbas, Live Wire, PO Box 503, Sansad Marg, Parliament Street, New Delhi 1. Now, I would look at these letters and then go to the Western Music Department of All India Radio FM and search for all the songs that we could pick out CDs for that were in the list of the requests that had come in.
Wow.
So, this
Wow.
is part one of my job. Part two of my job was that on a Sunday afternoon, I would pick out the 10 people that we would put on the air from the hundreds of letters that would come.
Wow.
So I would pre-call them saying, hi, I'm calling from on behalf of Livewire. And this tonight, 10 to 11, you have been chosen to be live on the air. So I would give them their instructions. Don't be near a radio. Make sure you pick up your phone and tell your friends about the fact that you're going to be live on the air. So that was part two of my job.
Wow.
Part three of my job was that when Roshan started the show, I would be in the booth next door, next to the studio. And I would call and say, hey, Atul, hi. Hold on the phone for 2 minutes. Don't disconnect. You're going to be live on the air in 60 seconds. And the song that you chose is Pink Floyd's Another Brick in the Wall, right? And you'd say, yeah. Okay, hold, please hold. And then I would give Roshan the signal. And then Roshan would put that person on the air and say, hey, welcome to Live Wire and da 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 da.
Wow.
So this was my second job on the radio. Now, because I was closely associated with Roshan and I was picking up his style, and he used to always give me like tips, and you're observing someone at close quarters, right? So the deal in All India Radio is that you need to be a graduate and then you go and audition to be a presenter, an RJ. So as soon as I graduated, the first thing on my agenda was to go there, and I went for this audition, which was quite scary in itself because there was this booth, an audio booth, which not typically has like a glass, and you can see the engineers and the other people on the other side, right? What they had done is that they had cordoned off the glass. They basically covered it up so
Okay.
that we couldn't see who the panelists on the other side are.
Oh.
And they gave us a script to read. They gave us a few complicated English words to pronounce because they were trying to get a sense of whether the guy has the ability to speak, to pronounce correctly, to intonate, to modulate, and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And that's when I passed that audition and I got my first show on All India Radio FM.
Wow.
which used to
That's
be 400 rupees an episode. So, and you were only allowed to do like once a week. So I added another 1600 rupees to my growing,
account.
growing salary in 1996, 97. I'm talking about ancient.
Wow, wow.
Yeah, so then one thing kind of led to the other, but by then I was in love with the medium. So I did some private radio in India, and then it so happened that somebody listened to our show, somebody who was traveling from the UAE listened to our show, and they got in touch saying that we want you to come for as part of a startup Indian channel that we are starting in the UAE. Would you want to be part of the team? I said, yeah, sure. I mean, sounds good to me. And that's how I found myself in January of 2000, the new millennium. I was in a new country, in a new city, and I was in Dubai doing uh, their evening drive time show. And that's where I met my, girlfriend who became my wife. She was part of a
Wow.
rival radio station. Now, don't ask me this story because this one is for my book or for my movie, which I'm setting up. My kids
Wow.
were born there, and then but by the time when they were about two, 1 year was two, Veer was about 4 or 5. I started getting this burning desire that I wanted to work with, come back to India more than anything else. And if my story is boring, you can tell me, huh?
No, no, you're bringing a lot of nostalgic feeling because I was also born and brought up in Dubai.
Oh,
So
okay.
I used to, yeah. So I remember the times when I sent dedications out to them. I had to call them up and I used to speak. And when I get a chance to speak to the RJ, there was like this competitions where like, hey, you want to speak to the RJ or something. So I would call them up and they would say the same thing. You need to hold up. You've been selected to speak to the RJ. And that time we had, if you remember, RJ Mark Corum's Michael Corum's,
Yes, yes, of course.
yeah.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
I had the privilege to speak to him on air, and he was a lovely chap and all. And he asked me, "Hey, what are you
It was,
doing?
yes.
Yeah, what are you doing? And what song can I play for you?" And that time, this song from on hip hop, Ghetto Superstar by Pras.
Yes.
Yeah. So I remember it's bringing back a lot of nostalgic feeling. So, and I really, really, really excited to hear how your journey transited from this and going into Dubai, where you met your wife and your kids, and then you had that burning desire to come back to India. But then I would like to understand why coaching? Why did you get into coaching then?
So, I mean, this is something which is kind of new for me. I only started, I would say, in September was the first of my master classes, which I call Voiceover Launchpad, which is essentially aimed at people who are aspiring to be voiceover artists. So it so happened that my son, he's studying in Seattle, and he was home for the summer vacation in July. And in July, he started telling me that, Dad, you've got to be on Instagram. You've just got to be on Instagram. What are you doing? Why are you not on Instagram? I said, yeah, look, at my age, what do you want me to do? Like dance on Instagram? What am I supposed to do? So he said, no, that is your problem. You come up with something, but you must be on Instagram. I said, okay. Now, what happens, Atul, is that typically, when we think of creating any sort of content, we look at what we feel we have a little bit of expertise in. So it started with me offering these tips for voiceover artists. So I would give a little 30-second tip on how to become a voiceover artist, things like that. And people actually started DMing me and commenting that, sir, do you teach this? To me, it was a little bit of a, my mom and my dad, they're both in the field of education. They're both teachers, So my mom used to always tell me that you must at some point teach. It's the greatest thing you can do, because if you can help people learn something, it doesn't matter if you're at stage 20 of your journey, if you're at 5 steps of the journey, you're at 100 steps of the journey. There's somebody who's on step 0 wanting to take that leap of faith and start with their first step. help
Absolutely.
them help them make a transformation, and that's the greatest legacy you can leave behind in terms of what your students will remember you for. And she would say this, and you know how typically it is that when our parents say something, we just hear it sometimes and we
Gushes away.
get out from the other ear, and you're like, yeah, yeah, mom, yeah, yeah, okay, sounds good. I was like really busy with my voiceover and all of that, right? It so happened, Atul, that last year my mom fell ill. She had a little bit of a what is called a brain stroke due to high BP, and my parents live in in Jammu, and I rushed there overnight. We got her in a ambulance, and things were not so good in terms of the fact that when you have that kind of a scenario, then you lose your speech to a large degree. One side of your body gets absolutely paralyzed, and she was recovering to a decent degree, and the doctor actually even said that we're going to discharge her, and this is going to take a lot of support and patience from you guys. You guys will need to do physiotherapy, you guys will need to get speech therapists in, and we were ready for all of that, right? And I remember it was about 4 or 5 days left for mom's 75th birthday. And one of her students from the US was making this wonderful video with all her friends, a lot of her students, me, my dad, her daughter-in-law, grandchildren, they were all part of that video. And we had all made plans that on the 75th birthday, we'll hook it up, it'll be released on YouTube, we'll hook up the large TV and we'll watch it with her. And it so happened that she never lived to see that day.
I'm
On the
sorry.
morning of 19th of February, which is around the corner, on her 17th of February, mom passed away, Atul.
I'm so sorry.
So, you know, when people started sending me this message, somewhere I connected with the words that mom used to always say, that you've got to teach what you know to the next generation. And that's when I decided that maybe this is a sign from up above, from the Almighty, telling me that she's watching and she's wanting you to do this. And that's when I decided to, I always believe that you should start when you're not ready. So I wasn't particularly ready. I had no clue about making a landing page, how to get people in with Instagram advertising, and I had no clue. But I just said, let me just do this. If I have 5, 10 people who come in for my workshop, so be it. Let's do it. So it's been an amazing ride, to be honest. I've done 3 of the workshops. I have my fourth one scheduled, and then I also have an extensive coaching program with some of the people who come out from VoiceOver Launchpad, who get into the next step, which we call the VoiceOver Takeoff,
Yeah. Yes, take
where
off.
I
Yeah.
kind of help them make their demo reel. I help them put them up on some online platforms so that they can actually start monetizing the newfound skill that they've been working
Wow.
on. And
Wow.
and some of my students have actually started to earn money. And now I know what my mom went when they genuinely thank you and tell you that, listen, you've got us another additional source of income going.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
That's what it's
Beautiful.
about. It's been a bumpy ride. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've fallen down a few times, but I get up again because I love doing it. So it's been a lot of fun. I've also introduced a second program to what I do, which came again from Instagram, where 2 of my reels hit over 1 million each, where I was actually talking about developing a deeper voice, and some of the things that I have done over the last few years to not only maintain a sort of vocal fitness or vocal health, if you like, but also to be in a position where you can learn the ability to play with the most awesome instrument that God has given us. A complex instrument, but a fantastic instrument called a vocal instrument.
Wow.
So that's what I talk about in what is called the Deeper Voice Workshop. Uh, Not too many women sign up for that, and I understand. It's largely men who have the desire to sound more masculine and sound more
Yeah.
bassy and what have you. But it's been fun. That also has We've done about 3 of the workshops there as well. So far so good. No complaints. It's been quite a fun ride.
Oh, praise God. Good to hear that how your journey has taken you from where you were to where you are right now. And I pray that it is going to be a really awesome ride for you from here on. But I was really, really inspired when you shared certain exercises when I really started following you. Now, not only were you encouraging voiceover artists, but you were encouraging trainers like us. So I tried my best to work on certain exercises and try to deepen my voice. For example, if you remember, you there was one reel where you showed that exercise, your entire body when you exercise, that shows results on your vocals. That really fascinated me that, oh, okay, fine. When I go to the gym, it's my voice that I work on. And there was one reel where you said about drinking water. about early morning, you're getting up.
I'm obsessed with water.
So, this certain exercises helped me also as a trainer. Your exercise really helped me to deepen my voice because I believe a deepened voice resonates more.
Absolutely.
So, how would you put it out for females?
Look, you know, when it comes to the voice, one of the first things that I like to talk about is the fact that it's a myth when people tell you that if, of course, our voice has to do with our genetics, there's DNA involved, there's the structure of our vocal cords, and a lot of that is involved. Yes, of course it is. However, if somebody tells you that you cannot change your voice, then to a certain degree, I believe that that's a myth. Okay. And I'll tell you what I mean. For example, if I'm sitting here and talking to you, and if I suddenly told you that, can you talk like that and can you go really, really, really high and you can go into a falsetto note, will you be able to do it? Or if you said that you want to bring it really down and speak in a very low
Wow.
timbre, would you be able
Wow.
to do it? From the makers of, from Paramount Pictures, Once Upon a Time, this is the story. Now, I like to call this, as one of my coaches, taught me, the 88 keys. A piano has 88 keys. But what happens is during the course of our life, we get used to playing around just with the sets of keys here. If I asked you to speak like that and go into a falsetto and go really, 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 really high or go really, really low, you will not, you will in fact maybe start thinking that this is fake and phony because you are not comfortable with it. But tell me, how can it be fake and phony if it is your vocal instrument that is creating that sound? It's just
Correct.
unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar. Okay.
People are used to a habitual voice that they have developed.
Mm.
This voice that they have is a voice that they developed over a period of time by looking or hearing some of the people that they emulate. It could be their parents, it could be their friends, it could be some teachers, it could be movie stars, it could be, whoever. So our vocal habits actually are emulated from the people who we believe have good voices, and we've learned to play around with 4 or 5 of the keys of the piano, not realizing that it has 88 keys. So we do have the ability to be able to play around with it. And the more you play with it, the more you develop the range and the ability to be able to switch between a lower scale to a higher scale to what have you. So that's the first thing that I talk about, that take it out of your mind that your voice cannot do things because you are just working with a habitual voice that you have because you're familiar.
You're familiar.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very interesting. Thank you so much, Ms. Paran. And to all our viewers, thank you so much for staying back. I hope this has been a very enlightening. So far, so good. Can I see some thumbs up, virtual thumbs up? Thank you, Sumaya. Can I see some lovely virtual thumbs up? Thank you, Arpita. We got Deborah joining us all the way from Jakarta. Thank you so much,
Wow.
Deborah. Lovely to see you. Superb, superb,
Thank
superb.
thank you.
Thank you so much. So here comes to my next question. Now, what are the fundamental exercises someone should incorporate into their daily routine to enhance their vocal control and range?
I would say one of the most important things, it may seem minor, but it's something which I have developed into a habit, and it was more to do with the fact that I'm a voiceover artist, is incorporating what is called vocal warm ups into your schedule.
Oh,
Just like you go to the gym and you do a little stretching before you play a sport, you warm up. We need to do the same when it comes to our vocal instrument as well. Okay, so there are a couple of things that you can do to warm up your vocal cords. Okay, so if you want me to demonstrate a few of them, I'm happy to do that.
please, please. Yeah, that would be lovely to show our viewers here.
So the first one that you can do is actually, like, first you got to understand that your breath has a key role to play in the sound that you're going to produce from your diaphragm, from your vocal cords. So breathing plays a very important part of how you throw your voice, how you play around with it. So to begin with, what you can do is you can just kind of take a few deep breaths in and kind of get into a relaxed mode. Okay. And then you can raise your arms like above your head, stretch a little bit and let out like let out a sigh. Ah.
Ah, ah,
Yeah. Next thing, even if you're not sleepy or tired, yawn. Let out a nice big yawn because it's going to relax your jaw. You feel the little crick crick? It's good. It's
yeah,
good for your
yes,
jaw. Yeah.
yes, yes.
The next thing that you do is you want to warm up your tongue. So we do what is called the rolling R. So you do, yeah.
Yes.
The next thing that you can do is you do what is called bo, 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 bo. So B-O, just repeat bo, 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 bo. It's going to work some different parts of your mouth. Bo,
Pop,
bo, 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 bo. Then you can
pop,
do a
pop.
very extended la, 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 la. Okay, so just kind of extend your la, 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 la.
La, la.
Then we do what are called lip trills. Okay. Now a lip trill starts with you just kind of making a circular thing with your mouth and buzzing like a bee to begin with. So you do a bzzz. Okay. So you feel the vibration, you go bzzz. Okay. And then you take a deep breath in and you go. So you go. Yeah, it's a little difficult in the beginning, but the idea is over a period of time to be able to prolong it. And if you want, you can go low to high. You can like mess around with your scales as well. You can play around with your scales as well. So you start low.
Oh, okay.
Again, it's about finding that range of yours, right? That's
Mhm.
one thing that you can do. Then the other one that I recommend is what we call as VO. I like that one because VO is the acronym for voiceover. So so the V is high and the O is low. So you go
Okay.
V O as low as you can go. Now, what happens is that when you do these exercises, these warm up exercises, one, it gets it gets you nice and warmed up by the time you have your script and you have your voiceover and everything ready. But I don't think it should only be restricted to voiceover artists because we speak in our lives, and I think I call speaking to one person also is public speaking, isn't it?
Correct.
It is.
Correct. Absolutely.
When we
Yeah.
speak to ourselves, we don't need to say any words. But when we speak to people, it's public speaking, whether it's two people, whether it's 500 people, it's public speaking.
It's public
If
speaking.
your voice and your
Yes.
vocal health is nice and good, you will be able to be very generous with people. And here, I don't mean generosity from the point of view of, we typically think that, oh, this guy's very generous means he has money that he donates and he takes care of, he's a philanthropist.
Mhm.
Generosity is not limited to money. Generosity to me is also about energy. What is the energy that you give to people around you?
I
What's the
love that.
vibe that you give to people around you?
I love
And
that.
if you have that vocal stamina and you have that communication stamina, you will be more generous to people, which will make you more memorable, more influential, more impactful, and all of that. So doing
Amazing.
vocal warm-ups is recommended for everyone because all of us end up speaking to people throughout the day. So if we can do these little exercises to incorporate into our daily lives, I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Amazing, amazing, Mr. Praran. You really brought me back to when I was a choir master for my church. We used to do do re mi fa sol la ti do, and we used to take it from the highest to the lowest. And I used to remember that exercises. I love the VO exercise. V and O. You bring it all the way down. So the voice comes out of your diaphragm, or should you use your your throat? No.
You should use a lot of your diaphragm when you are speaking.
Okay.
It's important because what happens is that one, if you want to have that little throw in your voice, it helps. Secondly, it's just a healthier kind of sound that comes in. And diaphragmatic breathing is nothing but deep belly breaths, actually. So when you breathe in, if your shoulders are coming up, you're breathing wrong. If your stomach is going in, you're breathing wrong. When you're breathing in, your tummy should be like a balloon and it should actually expand, right? That's how you breathe correctly, in from your nose, and then you let it out and you do some diaphragmatic breaths. Another thing that, now that we're talking about this topic, two things I'd like to mention. In fact, one is tongue twisters.
Oh,
Memorize or pick up a few tongue twisters. They're easy to find, and say them out. Start slowly and gradually. Once you're familiar with the tongue twister, quicken your pace while you're saying them. That's again a great exercise for articulation, because in terms of your clarity of speech. So if you're able to go through the tongue twisters without stumbling, you will notice that overall you will start to have more control of how you say your words. And more control essentially would mean that you would enunciate better and your articulation will be better. So that's something that one can do. And finally, the one exercise that I love, I like to refer to it as the meditation for our voice,
oh, okay.
is humming.
Oh, it's humming.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Yeah,
I like that. I like the way you said meditation for the voice is
yeah,
humming.
it's humming. Practice humming 10 minutes a day if you can. If not every day, then on alternate days. And you can pick up anything that you want to hum with. You can use Om, which is like the universal sound, and it's beautiful. But anything that you want to hum, you want to pick up like some tribal chant, that's okay. Whatever you want to kind of hum with. But just hum. And humming is where you can look at, raising your scale high and taking it as low as you can go. Because what will happen over a period of time is that even people who are trying to, let's say, develop a deeper voice is nothing but working at two or three scales lower than what you typically have been so far. So if people are talking too loudly, then I tell them, like, you want to bring that down to a certain degree. But then what starts to happen is that people's throat starts to get strained when they're like trying to
Yes.
do a
Yes.
certain thing.
Yes.
Which is why you need to build this stamina and you need to build this strengthening of your diaphragm and your vocal cords and things like that. Which is why things like diaphragmatic breathing and humming will help you over a period of time. I mean, humming has its advantages besides your voice in terms of, calming you, making you stress free, centering you, etc., etc. But when it comes from a voice perspective as well, most of the professional singers that I know, they will spend a lot of time humming, because it just gives you control over the scales that you play around with, essentially.
Wow. Wow. That is something new to us. Thank you so much, Mr. Paran. I don't know. We're learning a lot. And to all that who are present here, we are majority females over here. I hope this would help you calm your vocals when you have to present as speakers or as trainers. So make use of these exercises. I hope all of you are getting enlightened by every word or every exercise. Can I once again see thumbs ups, guys? Come on, let me see those thumbs ups. Thank you, Arpita. Thank you, Sumaya. Thank you all for your thumbs ups. And now this comes to my next question. I guess it's something related to the meditation, but how do you control your breath your breath to use to support your voice and avoid straining?
One of the things that I also, now that I work closely with people and try and observe how they speak, is that you don't want to be doing two things. You don't want to be doing what is called shallow breaths. A lot of people have this tendency of taking like shallow breaths,
Yes.
right? So it's better that you kind of have pauses when you need to, so you can take like a nice little breath in. So you breathe in from your nose, and at the exhale is when you start to talk. And then you inhale again from the nose. And I mean, I'm talking right now, so I can't demonstrate it, but it's like, and here I start speaking when I'm exhaling. And automatically I'll also come out deeper because I've got a nice volume of air inside my system. And again, I
Wow.
take a nice breath in. And so one of the things that I tell people is to not take shallow breaths, right? That's one of the things. And the other thing, that some people have a tendency of breathing from their mouth, right?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah. And the reason for that is that, I mean, I don't know the reason for why they do it, but the repercussion of that is that your mouth, when you breathe from your mouth, it starts to dry up.
Okay.
When you breathe from your nose, I mean, you can try it right now. If you take a breath in from your nose, and now you try to take a breath in from your mouth, you'll feel like a
Yeah.
dryness.
Correct, correct. A dryness. Yes, yes. There's a whole lot different. Yes.
Yeah, so just breathe from your nose. Your At least your inhale has to be from the nose. Okay. The other thing that you want to do, and I'm obsessed with this, is hydration.
Hmm. Hydration.
Hydration is like the lubricant for your voice. You
I
want
like
to
that.
be
Lubricant.
hydrated, and hydration is doesn't mean that you decide, okay, that I'm going to start drinking water right now and I'll get hydrated 5 minutes later. No, it's a lifestyle, it's a process. Hydration is an ongoing process. It like takes hours and hours for your body to be at that state when it is constantly hydrated. So I always recommend to people that however much water that you drink right now, drink a lot more than what you possibly drink. You may go to the washroom more, but that's not too bad either because you're flushing out the toxins as well more often, right?
Absolutely.
So it's not a problem. So I'm obsessed with water. I just think water is the greatest thing that there is in the world. My favorite drink. Cheers to that. And yeah,
Yes.
stay hydrated is my recommendation always.
I like the way you said lubricant. That's the perfect term, lubricant for us. Absolutely. Wow, wow. That's really amazing. And I also believe that not only for vocals, but even I remember meeting a wrestler, an Indian wrestler. He said that how do you keep your stamina? Breathe through your nose. How do you keep your energy? How do you save in your energy? Breathe through your nose. If you breathe through your mouth, you lose out all your energy. So it goes everywhere, even while you're running or while you're exercising, breathing through your nose preserves a lot of your energy and all that. And that you shared with us through your exercises. That's really interesting. So here comes up next question is how to enhance your vocal resonance and projection by using your chest, throat, mouth, and your nasal cavities.
So again, this is all the exercises that I talked about
Hmm.
over a period of time is what is going to kind of help you with all of this that I mentioned earlier.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
the other thing that kind of plays a role, and this could be an indirect role, it could be at a subliminal level, is confidence. Now, believe it or not,
Wow.
confidence speaks, they say, right?
Yeah.
People ooze confidence. And you notice that people who are confident will end up also speaking in a certain manner, which gives people the perception that they are confident.
Mhm, mhm.
Now, confidence is built over a period of time. There are many factors that go into it. How much do you believe what you say? What you say, is it the truth, and is the truth you? What is the self talk that you indulge in? You talk a lot with your closest friends, but the person that you end up talking the maximum with is you yourself. So everything from self talk to, even, I mean, some people who are your viewers right now may start thinking that I'm going a little in the woo woo space, but things like manifestations, things like visualization, visualization of the outcome that you want from your public speaking, for example, the manifestation of people complimenting you on your voice is the first step for it to actually get complimented one day, because you have to see it in your mind's eye before it happens.
Nice.
Thoughts are things. So a lot of what you want to be able to achieve is about this self awareness that you can actually choose to make a difference to whatever trait it is, whatever habit you are trying to form over a period of time. Now, skills are not transferable. Only practice will make you improve. Now,
Amen to
Atul,
that.
what happens is that people have this tendency of wanting to be very knowledgeable. And my coach, my communication coach. His name is Win Jiang. He is also called, his handle is Ask Win across social media, and he has more than 10 million followers. I'm
Win. Yes.
Yes, I've been fortunate to be part of his stage academy since last year, and I've learned so much from Win. And Win talks about the fact that, you know, the acquisition of knowledge brings about satisfaction. So you have knowledge, you get satisfied, you've quenched your thirst for that knowledge nugget that you wanted. But that's about it, right?
Yeah.
It's the application of knowledge that brings about fulfillment.
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
even as, you know, you're a coach, and you will must have already seen this, in fact, is that a lot of people are like very gung-ho when you impart that training to them, when you share that knowledge, and they're all very excited, and yes, we will change the world, and we will do this, and we will do that. But the gap really lies in between the learning and the implementation of what has been taught. So,
Very.
you know, that's one of the things which I find we need to constantly work on. It's just something that we will have to go that extra 9 yards to kind of help our students, and try and minimize the dropout that happens between the knowledge to the implementation stage. So yeah, it's a combination of all these things. You know, at the end of the day, I also tell some of my students that celebrate successes along the way. This is going to be a long journey. I cannot guarantee you a time frame, because everybody's scenario, everybody's amount of practice that they're putting in, everybody's consistency, discipline, etc., they're all different. And there will be roadblocks along the way, but celebrate the successes. If you've decided that you're going to do humming exercises for 15 times in a day, and you're going to do your diaphragmatic breathing the remaining 15 days of the month, and you actually manage to tick that off, celebrate it. Give yourself a pat on the back that you managed to do this. You managed to implement what you have learned. So it's a combination of a lot of things. It's, you know, a lot of what we believe to be achievement or transformation, Atul, lies in the mind. It's a lot to do with the mindset, right?
Yes. I totally believe in that. Wow. There was a lot of wow moments over here. And I was like, really, really, I can listen to you all day, I mean, all evening. I can
You're
just
you're
listen
you're
to
very
all
kind.
your, yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's really amazing. So, guys, what do you think about all this that Mr. Pradhan is sharing? If you think it is so relevant, put a wow at the chat. Let me see those wows, or just put a W. Come on, let's see that chat's buzzing. Come on. Do we have a chat? No, we don't have a chat. Where is everyone? Everyone fast asleep. Come on, let's see those wow, wow. Oh, thank you, Arpita, sir. There you go. Everybody's so happy with what you have to give. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. For here comes my next question: is how do you pronounce words correctly, sir?
That's something that, you know, is kind of,
I find
you
I
either
find
have,
that
have good pronunciation, or you don't exactly have good pronunciation. Nowadays, it's actually pretty easy. You know, we have our Ask Emmas, and, you know, the Colin Webster dictionary of pronunciations pretty much
Google
available.
pronunciation. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that's all available. In fact, there are times when we as voiceover artists also need to look at it. So I keep it as a ready reckoner every time I'm in doubt about certain pronunciations. But that's something that, you know, is like work in progress. Somebody's got to take the decision that they will sort of improve their pronunciation. And I think what kind of helps is to inculcate a desire to increase your vocabulary. Atul, what tends to
Mhm.
happen is that it's been researched that as human beings, we may know many more words, but we typically use 2,000 words in our communication, and we don't go beyond that. So
Oh.
if you were to decide that you are going to learn one new word every day, its pronunciation, its meaning, its usage in sentences, you will actually end up increasing your vocabulary by 15 to 20% per year. And in a
Mhm.
couple in 5 years time, you will have double the vocabulary of what you have.
Wow.
It's as simple as that, right? When you break
Yes,
it down.
yes.
So this comes from somebody having the inherent desire to master a particular language. Pronunciation, I believe, goes hand in hand with the ability to be able to speak more words. Because if we stay in our comfort zone and we know that okay, these are the words that we typically end up using in our day to day life, we do not expand our horizon and go into words that we want to start using. The other thing is you not necessarily need to have like big flowery words to kind of try to prove to people that you're very smart. uh,
That's what, yeah.
even basic, there are certain basic words that we probably don't use, and that is something that one can definitely work upon.
I try to be very careful with my words sometimes. My pronunciation takes some time. I actually stop and try to pronounce that word so I can later on be able to speak it more faster. So that is one of the exercises that I do when it comes to the pronunciation part.
Right.
So here comes my next question. I really wanted to know that how do you use your voice to convey emotions, mood, and the intention to connect with your audience?
So here's the thing, and I'll give you this as a trick to
Okay.
the people who are watching this right now as well. Human beings have typically six core emotions. We can be happy, we can be sad, we can be disgusted, we can be surprised, we can be shocked, we can be fearful, right? Now, if I ask you to put on your sad face, put on a sad face. What's your sad face? Now, say good evening to me.
Good evening.
Now, put on your disgusted face. Now, say good evening to me.
Good evening.
Like, the other people who are not even like saying anything, we can tell that their good evening will come all disgusted and sad.
Discuss. Yes.
Yeah. So, your face or your facial expressions are the remote control to your voice.
Hmm.
Think about that for a second. You want, if you feel what you want your audience to feel, is how they will feel what you want them to feel.
Wow.
And
Awesome.
this
Like,
is something that I learned as a voiceover artist from, again, a voiceover coach who talked about the fact that you need to feel what you want your audience to feel. And in voiceover, the challenge is that they cannot see you. It's only your voice that you're playing around with, you know? So that's challenge number one. Challenge number two is the ability to be able to evoke a certain emotion out of people based purely on your voice, right? That's an extension of challenge number one. Challenge number two, let's say, is the fact that you're reading a script when you're voicing, when you're doing a voiceover. Everybody knows that you are reading a script. However, you must have the ability to make it sound like you're not reading a script,
oh, wow. Wow.
because you they want it to be conversational. They want it to sound like a best friend is talking to them, or a confidant, or a relative, or somebody who they trust is having a conversation with them, is absolutely conversational. Gone are the days in voiceover, and I get this question a lot when it comes to the voiceover launchpad uh, masterclass that I have, and people say that, sir, do I need a big booming baritone to be a voiceover artist? And I say, that's not the trend anymore. There used to be a time where that seemed to be like the only pre-qualification to become a great voiceover artist. But today, more and more clients, agencies, brands are looking for people, for lack of a better word, the guy next door. Somebody who's just normal, who doesn't have, sometimes in the brief that I get, it says, try not to sound like a voiceover artist. Sound more natural and
Natural.
conversational.
Conversational.
So what you do with your body kind of starts to come through in your voice. So when it comes to the feelings, you need to feel that yourself. If there is a if there is an alarming statistic that you are reading out or you are talking about, you yourself need to be alarmed by it for others to start feeling that sense of alarm. A lot of communication is about problem solution. Now when you're talking about the problem, how much of it can you in your voice evoke as the problem? Are you sick and tired of this happening on a daily basis? Is this the challenge you're facing? Is that what your problem? You're evoking that feeling, and then you switch to, guess what, we've got the solution for you with. But you've got to feel that stress to make people feel stressed, and then you've got to feel that smile, that warmth when it comes to, this is the product that's going to do it for you, man. It's like some of the products that we've never even used before in our lives, but we've got to sound like we love them. They've changed our lives. And that happens with you feeling it internally yourself. And sometimes you've got to borrow from moments of your own life experiences. Got it?
Oh, I like that one. That's new.
So you
Borrow.
you sort of step back. Now, how can I sound happy about something that I do not know too much about? But there are moments in my life where I felt extreme happiness, where I was like, wow, this is the moment. It could be the day that you got married. It could be the day that your kid was born. It could be a special moment that you were recognized on stage for an achievement that you had done. What did you feel then? What was that emotion that you felt? Visualize that and then evoke that feeling, and that will come out in your voice as well. Same goes for like the saddest day of your life and the despairs and the challenges and the hardships and the obstacles that you had. So to be able to be authentic and borrow from your own life's experience is a great asset as not only a voiceover artist, but somebody who wants to be a speaker and wants to communicate to teams and motivate and what have you.
Wow, wow, wow. That is so new to me. I can't imagine that, we got to think about the most happiest to think about the most saddest whenever we want to evoke something. Wow, that is really something new. And I think I will be doing that when it comes to presenting something online or maybe presenting something else. But thank you so much for that, Mr. Paran. Guys, what do you think about that? Evoking emotions, huh? What do you think about that? Let me get some thumbs ups. We'll be taking some, thank you, Sumaya. We'll be taking some questions after we were done with all the questions. And I would like to ask you, sir, how do you deal with feedbacks and criticisms? This is something, the reason why I ask is a lot of us go through criticisms. Some of us knows how to handle it. Some of us just give up. But how do you,
When I
as
was
an
younger, I probably deal with it much better, Atul, now that I'm slightly older. When we are younger, we probably don't know how to take them very well. But I look at feedback now as a great opportunity, because sometimes what happens is that we also get into a rut where we just kind of keep doing things in the format that we are comfortable in, and we don't kind of push ourselves till we get a certain feedback. So
okay.
instead of taking feedback personally, I look at it as an opportunity to, further my repertoire, my skill set in that endeavor to finally nail the take that somebody is looking for. So you got to be open, I think.
Mm.
Feedback is one of the greatest things that can help you move forward in life as long as you're open to it. Too many people seem to be close to it and they take it personally.
Yes.
But the idea is that, look, if somebody, as long as it's not just unwanted and it's just very one sided or biased, it's always good to give the other person an opportunity to kind of express what is it that they're looking for. How can you better your end product, which in my case is, let's say, the voiceover. So I look at it pretty constructively. This is a field where it's relative, it's subjective. Somebody may like a particular style of speaking in a certain voice, and somebody may not like it.
Correct. Correct. I've been through
But you've got to work your way around in terms of being able to have that versatility, to be able to give them a slightly different take if that's what they're kind of looking for.
it. Okay. Okay.
You win some, you lose some. Sometimes you may not be able to even deliver to the best of your ability. You tried, but you've got to then be a little detached with the outcome as well in a scenario that happens. So a combination of when you get that feedback, take it constructively, look inside you, where can you improve upon it, give it your best shot one more time, one more time, one more time. And if it works, great. And more often than not, 99% of the times it works because people appreciate it when you take their feedback nicely and you incorporate some things. And in our line of field, and I think in most lines of work, the client is always right. Even when he's wrong, the client is always right.
Always right. I've heard of that.
we got to
Yes. Yes.
we got to work our way around it. Some then say, okay, this is not working out, and you just move on. You get up and you have a new day. And the exciting part about voiceover is that you have a new script, you have a new character to embrace, and you have
Mm.
different things that are going on. So
New
every day is different from
emotions
that
to
perspective.
wow, wow, wow. I really like the way you said, just go around it, just don't take it serious, as you becoming a seasoned player in this field. It's something very interesting when we understand how people take criticism, and I like the way you have taken it. And I hope it's all so enlightening and happening for all of you. Thank you so much for those who have just joined in. Lovely to see you guys. Okay, guys. The next question. This is the last question before we take questions from all of you. The next one is: what are some of the trends or innovation that you see is happening in today's voiceover industry, and how do you yourself keep yourself updated?
So one of the things that is a hot topic nowadays is the advent of AI, and it has not, not made its entry into the voiceover industry. It has definitely. There are
It,
AI
yeah.
voiceovers that have been going around, and some of my peers are a little alarmed by it, but I kind of am not so worried because of two reasons. Number one, as quickly as the technology is growing, that human element of what we are able to do is what sets us apart from the robotic voice or the AI voice. Now, what
Absolutely.
we as human beings have are imperfections. It's the imperfections that we have that make us human, right?
Wow. Yeah, the imperfection. Yes.
So embrace your imperfections. They're you, they're part of your personality. The robotic voice or the AI voice will always have a set way in which it will say things, probably not pause to breathe, etc., etc. And yes, we will lose some amount of work when there is some long form content and people are in a hurry and they want to churn out 400 hours of content, and the AI voice doesn't sleep. We need to, and that's fine. I look at it as one more competitor. The second thing that I believe is that deep down, people like to work with people.
People like to work with people. You're talking more about collaborations.
Yeah, how nice would be if I could just punch in something on my, I put my script in, AI generated script comes in, okay, that's it. But if I'm collaborating with an artist, I'm giving them direction and we're working together and the guy sending me his take and all of that, that's the basis of the relationships that we build over a period of time. And I'm sure that is not going away very, very soon, where people will always prefer to work with people. I mean, I see this so often where, clients, uh, sometimes new, sometimes old, they say that, okay, um, they will sometimes admit that they tried a AI voice and it didn't work out. Sometimes they'll say that,
Wow.
we have an AI voice in there, but it's only for the timing. Okay, please don't sound like it. Don't try and do what it's doing. Do your own thing. Just use the reference of the timing because we've put it in our video first to get a sense of is the voiceover fitting in the video. They say it
Oh,
upfront that we want a human voice for this. We don't want the AI cloned voice. So yeah, that's one of the trends. That's one of the hot topics, so to speak. And of course, a lot more of emphasis on being conversational, being real, being you, being authentic. As any voiceover artist who catches this broadcast, I would just say, like, be yourself, live your lives, live your life, and there will be moments and stories and experiences that you can always reflect upon next time you enter the studio, and that's going to always stand you in good stead.
I like the way you're confident that you are not even worried about what AI is going to offer. And I like the way you've already experienced it through some clients. That is really, really interesting you shared with us. Yes, you're right. There's no emotion, there's no pauses, there's no full stop. It's just an emotionless machine that is speaking out words which we're just putting out. And I really agree that they can't take that. It will take some time to AI to adapt to something like that.
No, I mean, I'm sure as good as they will get. The second point that I talked about, the overriding fact about humans wanting to work with humans, people wanting to work with people, is always going to be people's priority. People will want to always work with people, is my belief. It may be stupid, but I believe so.
That's true. That's true. Collaborations helps in one way or the other. I truly believe in that. Thank you so much, Mr. Paran. And Mr. Paran, I just want to understand, is there any piece of advice you would like to give our viewers? What kind of one advice, irrespective of whatever it is that you give to your viewers?
Don't wait. Start when you're not ready. Sometimes
Oh,
we are
oh,
we are
can you
we
repeat that? Start when you are not ready.
start when you're not ready.
Wow.
People wait for that right moment to start something. So they've dreamt about a new business, a new hobby, a new career, and that waiting basically just doesn't do anything. And they wait for things, the environment, the situation themselves to be perfect. And my advice is, because I've kind of followed this in my life, is that if you do something repeatedly over a period of time, in the beginning you'll suck,
Hmm.
and you'll get better. But the ability to be able to take it on your chin, the fact that you will suck at something when you start, is what you need to do, which means start when you're not ready. I wasn't ready to start posting on Instagram. If you see some of my first few videos, it's like total cringe, but I'm glad I went through it, because it was a process that I needed to go through.
Yes,
I'm,
yes.
and I'm still not where I want to be. So keep, Steve Jobs would talk about the fact that stay hungry, stay foolish. But I think it's important to kind of stay hungry and stay foolish. Don't take yourselves too seriously. You know, our time on this wonderful Mother Earth is limited. So don't take yourselves too seriously. Nobody cares beyond a point in time. So stop caring about what people think or say. हिंदी में बोलते हैं दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा रोग, क्या कहेंगे मेरे बारे में लोग.
Oh,
So just live your life, do your thing, and don't be scared to make mistakes. I think we're taught at a very early age that you shouldn't make mistakes, but if you don't make any mistakes, means you're not trying to do anything. You're just sitting
wow.
in your comfort zone. So go out there, make mistakes, learn from them, get up again, and just be at it. If it's a podcast you want to start, if it's a YouTube channel that you've been thinking about, if it's a book that you've been wanting to write, if there's a blog that you've been wanting to do, if there's a restaurant you've been wanting, I don't know what it is. Don't wait for the
The
world
special
around
moment.
you and yourself to be ready. You will keep waiting. Start when you are not ready.
Wow, wow. Can we hear it from Mr. Paran? Ladies and gentlemen, let's see those virtual hand claps. So I must say, there was not a single moment I stopped saying wow, wow, wow. Every moment was a wow moment. Really, really, really amazing. And I seriously will, later on go through this session again and write down those words. Really, really enlightening. Thank you so much, Mr. Paran.
Thank you.
And now we're going to take some questions from our audience. Guys, let's hear it from your end now. I'd like to hear, like Mr. Paran would like to take some questions. So let's hear it from you. Unmute yourself and let's hear it. Anybody?
Sometimes you have a class where no student asks any questions. So you as a
Uh,
No questions. Most of the things were covered, whatever questions I had. But one thing on the lighter note I wanted to ask. So when we are talking like integrating two emotions, you spoke about first sadness and then we are pitching the product with happiness. I have also inferred in most of the speakers, they tend to overdo. So how can we be conscious of that overdoing?
Okay, that's a great question, Somaya, right?
Yeah.
So, Somaya, I'll tell you from the voiceover perspective, what I do is that I typically record one take which I believe is what the right emotion, the right nuance for it should be. But then I sometimes, when I'm not too sure, I go and record one more take where I go over the top, where I
Mhm.
kind of just get over excited about what is the product that I'm pitching, and I get over emotional and over dramatic about some of the
Yeah.
aspects. Now, what I've noticed is that when I play back these two takes, the best take, I don't like to use the word perfect very often in life because, like I said, I like imperfections. The best take is going to be somewhere between those two. So it becomes a question of how often you kind of do it, and then you start to gauge it. Like if you're a public speaker, for example, the amount of hours that you would spend doing it over a period of time will give you the ability to be able to suss out where you're going a little over the top. You need to be self-critical, and you need to kind of have that feedback mechanism going with yourself as well, and not be surrounded by sycophants who are like, oh, madam, unbelievable, you're so good. And you sometimes need to kind of step back and look at your own recording and your own performance. So that is something which you will get better at, because whatever we start to do, we invariably kind of start getting better at. In the book Outliers, the guy talks about the 10,000 hours that you need to spend doing something which will make you really really good at whatever it is that you choose to do. Similarly, if it's storytelling that you're doing, your story may fall flat in the beginning, or you may take it really really long and take too long to come to the point. But over a period of time, you hopefully will hone the art of saying that, okay, this is how much I want to build the story with the incident, and this is where I want to get to the takeaway, or the reason that I'm telling you this is so and so. So it's a process which you need to kind of, I like to call it the two head uh, concept. Okay, two heads is what you need to be having, especially when you're a public speaker or you are a voiceover artist, because you've got that one head which is concentrating on the performance, and there's the second head which is observing it like a director, saying that, oh, did I fumble here? Did I make a mistake here? Could I do this better? It's that second head which is observing you doing the act, which gives you that kind of feedback mechanism. So everyone has their own sort of methodology. I'm just sharing how I tend to do it, and to a certain degree, I hope that answers your question, Sumaya.
Yes, yes, good technique. I'll follow that. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you
glad.
so much, Maya. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Anyone else want to ask any question? If you don't want to come on camera, you can put it down on the chat so Mr. Paran can read it out. Anyone with your questions? Let's hear it from you. I guess everyone has understood. Everybody's doubts are cleared. Yes. Oh, we got my pastor, Mr. Natnel Alahat. So I want you to meet my pastor, Pastor Natnel.
Good
Yes,
evening.
yes, Pastor. Please go ahead.
Good evening, Pastor.
Hi, sir. I'm so sorry I cannot come on the camera right now, but
Not a problem.
yeah. So I have a question where what are the basic, in case if anyone is willing to, do any voiceover on certain basic videos or something like that. So what are some basic tools which anyone can use if they are not equipped with any studio type equipment or something like that, and still they want to go ahead and at least start something. So what would be a tip from you that can help someone who is willing to do that?
You can use your phone to begin with, especially when it comes to places like Instagram, where they actually have an option when you're making a reel or you're making a story to be able to use your inbuilt phone microphone as something that you can do your voiceover with. So it's a great question that you've asked, because sometimes people are overwhelmed by the amount of, number one, the investment money wise that they will have to put in getting themselves a microphone, doing some sort of sound treatment to their space, etc. And that kind of gets overwhelming as a thought as well. And it becomes a roadblock, which again prevents people from starting, waiting for that readiness to happen. So I think, today you will find solutions when it comes to your phone being able to do it. There are certain softwares that are also there in terms of enhancing your audio quality on the phone as well. So which you can download, and obviously you're going to have to a certain degree learn how to edit on them. But if you want to get started, just keeping it real, keeping it with your phone is something which can be absolutely done. Not, I mean, if it's your own content that you are creating for maybe YouTube or on Instagram or any basic requirement or basic audience that you have. Obviously, when you get into the voiceover space, then there is a certain, you need to level up the game from a technical perspective as well, where the client is expecting a certain quality of recording, when they're looking at very little of the echoes and noises that we are surrounded by to actually not be there. But to get started, I think being able to record yourself on the phone is a great place to start. In fact, some of the people ask me that what is one habit that they need to inculcate if they want to become better voiceover artists, and I say, just pick up your phone and practice reading out loud, because you're going to be doing that all day. If you become a voiceover artist, you're going to be reading out loud, and people are not very comfortable, one, with their flow of reading, and secondly, they're not very comfortable when they hear their sound for the first time. It's become better now, where people are becoming a little bit more aware, but there was a time when people were absolutely shocked when they heard what they sound like when they record themselves. So just getting comfortable with these two things is a good starting point. Reading out loud, or saying out your thoughts loud, if it's not so much reading, and then to be able to play back what you have heard. And the second technique that I would recommend if somebody is on a journey where they want to improve is to work upon one thing that you want to improve at a time.
Wow.
For example, and I'm guilty of doing this as well, and I'm working very hard to eradicate it or eliminate it from my speech, is the use of the ums and ahs and a few of what we call filler words. You know what I mean, what I people have a tendency of saying these a lot, but they just don't notice it. So when you record yourself, take a decision to just change one thing in the way that you are speaking. It could be that I want to remove my ums and ahs when I speak. And the trick to that is to kind of slow down a little bit, breathe, pause. Every time you have that, the and ahs come when we are slightly behind what the thought is in terms of where it's collecting in our head and our speech. It's like a timing gap, which is why we get to a certain point, we're saying it, and now our mind's not ready for the next thing that we want to say, which is why we take that little and ah. All you can do is replace it with a pause. Just pause, and it'll give your mind the ability to be able to, in that split second, construct the next part of your sentence without you needing to do the because if you do it, it just somewhere takes away the credibility of your public speaking. Like if I was talking to Atul and I was like, so when I started radio, so I moved to Dubai, and so what happened is that I met my wife, Payal. Do you know what I mean? It just kind of takes away from the communication that I'm doing when I have too many of these ums and ahs. I'm not completely where I want to be, but I'm a work in progress. I hope that answers your question, Buster.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is what even I'm struggling often, and this is something which has really been helping what you shared right now, and definitely we will implement it. Thank you so much, sir.
One thing at a time, sir. Just one thing at a time. Don't complicate it too much. Don't overwhelm your brain. Just say, I want to improve one thing in my communication or in my speaking style. One thing at a time. Just work till you are satisfied, and then you can move to the next thing. Maybe you want to look at the how well you throw your voice, your volume. You want to work around with your intonation. How much do you create that melody in your voice? Do you sound monotonous? You have like the same speed, the same pitch, the same tone, and you keep talking like that, and then you wonder why people find you boring, because you just speak in this manner where you don't have any inflection in your voice. You don't go up and you go down, and your people are like almost predicting now what I'm saying, because I'm just going at one rate. You got to be able to go fast at times. You got to be able to slow it down at certain points in time. You need to be able to raise your pitch a little bit, and you need to be able to lean forward. You're talking to your sweetheart. You're not going to scream at her. You're going to say, hey, sweetheart, how's it going? So it's just
Yes.
communication is just wonderful, and there's so much we can do with our vocal cords and with our vocal instrument.
Completely. Voice modulation is very important, you rightly said, because there's a saying that 90% of the misunderstanding happens not only what because how what you say is because is it is because of how you say it. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that's very important. Thank you so much for this answer.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much. Yes, I think we can get one more question. One more question before we sign out. Charanjit, you wanted to ask something? You came on camera and you just left. I guess this is adios, I guess. Once again, Mr. Paran, thank you so much for taking time and enlightening us with a lot through your journey, through your exercises, and through what you had to offer as a not only as a voiceover but as a coach. And I'm telling you, this has really encouraged me, inspired me. And then when I put out this video on YouTube, so many people who are going to watch after this are going to get inspired by what you had to share. I just want to
I'm
wish
glad.
you the
Thank you.
best. And you are one amazing coach. God be with you. God bless you. You have all our blessings. And I know you're going to make it big, the big platforms. In God's grace, you'll be on TEDx. You never know.
Thank you, Coach Atul. Means the world to me, and it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. I really enjoyed your questions. They were well thought of, and it was incredible to be here. And I want to thank everybody who stayed with us and anybody else who's watching. Attention is the new currency, and if we've been able to hold your attention for a little while, then we are humbled and grateful for that.
I love that. Wow. Wow, before you leave. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. God bless you. And you
Take
have
care.
a
Thank you.
lovely evening ahead. I'll see you then. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Have a lovely evening and God bless you. See you at the third episode. God